Once we have the human algorithm done, making a flowchart is very easy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take these 10 steps with the decision and make a flowchart. So the first step is an equal sign, which means we use an assignment. So anytime we have equals, we use the assignment tool. And we're going to say that, well, I have a place in memory called weekday rate. And I should copy and paste, but everything's going to disappear. Day rate. And that's going to be equal to 5. Notice I didn't put a dollar sign there. You don't want to put a dollar sign there because dollar sign is text. We only want numbers. Well, we're making assignments of numbers. Okay, there it is. Okay, then the next one is going to be another assignment. And we double click on it, and that is going to be the weekend rate, and that's going to be equal to 10. Okay, that's done. Now we have ask for, which means that is going to be input. Okay, it's very important that when you do input, you hit the more button because you want to put the question and the answer, where you're going to put the answer. Okay, so this is going to be, I'm going to call this num dogs for the number of dogs. And in quotes, I'm going to ask for how many dogs. Okay, very important that you always start and end with a quotation mark, or you're going to get a error message. Okay, then I'm going to do the next step, which is another input. Okay, so this is my fourth step, and that's for the number of hours. I'm going to open it up. Num hours, and I'm going to ask, whoops, how many hours, question mark, and then close the quotation. So everything has to be in there, even the question mark. Okay, then I'm going to do the next one, which is another input. And here I'm going to ask weekday, yes or no. So I'll call this place in memory. I have to be careful because weekday could be a reserved word. So I'm going to put the weekday. And then I'm going to ask, is it a weekday? And then I'm going to show them what they should type in. And I'm going to say yes / no, and then I close the quote. Again, the quote goes at the very end. Okay, then now I have to do the decision if weekday equals yes. So the decision is the fourth one down. If condition is what is going to be our decision. Okay, the condition is going to be the two things we want to compare. And here we're going to compare is what's inside weekday equal to yes. Now, it's important, notice I put weekday here, but that's not what I called it. Okay, down here, I called it the weekday. So we have to really go by, a condition always has things that we've already saved. So I'm going to say the weekday. If I just typed weekday, it would always do false because there's no such thing as weekday in my program. And I'm going to say, what is inside that place in memory? Is it YES? Another important thing to remember is I'm using all lowercase YES. My question has had all lowercase YES. So you want to make sure that when you provide a prompt to a user, that you go through with that and keep using and use the same case. Okay, so the next one, if this one, it says that if it's true, then do this. And notice there's an equal sign there, so that has to be an assignment. Okay, and that assignment is we're going to figure out what the rate is and see if it's equal to the week end rate, weekday rate, I mean, which is this one right here. So I'm going to say that the rate, if it's true that it's the weekday, is equal to the weekday rate. Okay, notice we got weekday rate right from here because there's a 5 in it. Okay, and we're just going to put that into the rate. Okay, and then what happens if it's false? Notice we didn't put anything number next to else, and that's because it's the other side of this one symbol, and we want to have a number next to each thing that gives us a signal. So if it's false, we're going to do the weekend rate. So I'm going to go ahead and put another assignment in here. Whoa. This assignment also is going to be rate, and what I'm going to put in there is, since this is not a weekday, I'm going to put in the weekend rate. Excellent. Okay, so now that I have the rate in there, now I can figure out what the final fee is going to be. And that is going to be an assignment because there's an equal sign. And again, my final fee is going to be equal to the number of dogs. So again, I call that num dogs. Times num hours times the rate. Okay, so this right here comes from, we have num dogs, what comes from here, num hours, which comes from here, and the rate, which comes from what we put in depending on whether it's a weekday or weekend. And the last thing we want to do is put in a output statement. And on that, I'm going to say that you need to charge the owner, and then we'll put a $sign, and then we'll close the quote. And we want to join that with the place in memory that's holding their final number, which is right here. Final fee. Alright, so proof of the pudding's in the eating. Let's go ahead and see if this is actually going to work for us. So if I go ahead and run it, I'll say that there is one dog, 1 hour, and is it a weekday? And I'm going to say yes. So if it's a weekday, then it's going to give us weekend rate, which is going to be, weekday rate, which is 5. So the owner owes us $5. So we can see that worked. And we run it one more time because we don't know if it's going to work the other way. So I'm going to do one dog, 1 hour, and this time I'm going to say no. And that means it's a weekend, and it should be $10. Excellent. Okay, so that we know that works completely.